Good morning. Glad you're with us this morning. We want to get started with some breaking news coming out of Seattle, Washington.
A television station's news helicopter crashed this morning. We want to get right over to our Chris Egert for more on this breaking story. Chris.
Hey, Jess. Hey, Brad. Here's what we know right now. Seattle police have confirmed that 2 people are dead, and that is presumably the chopper pilot and the news photographer from KOMO TV. That's the ABC affiliate in Seattle. I worked across the street from KOMO at Cairo TV for 5 years. I know this area very well. Quite frankly, I probably know the 2 victims in this. Now, here's what happened. The chopper crashed after taking off around 9:30 this morning, our time, around 7:30 their time. It regularly takes off and lands from the roof of the KOMO TV building, which is right across the street from the Space Needle. Got eyewitness video coming in from many sources right now. You can see the chopper in flames and a few vehicles that were sitting along Broad Street that were also on fire. Now, it sounds like one person, a 37-year-old male, in one of those vehicles was hurt, perhaps critically. Now, this is really amazing, quite frankly, there were not more injuries, considering that this is at the base of the Space Needle, an area that is always teeming with tourists. It's not immediately clear what happened yet, but I can tell you that the news stations in Seattle fly their choppers routinely, has a very large coverage area, and those pilots and photographers log a lot of miles every day. Also have some eyewitness, an interview with an eyewitness coming in right now, if we can listen to that.
I heard the engine turn on, and 15 seconds later, I heard a boom, and the engine sounded a little bit heavy, so I heard the boom, and I looked up, and 2 seconds later, the flames started spreading out.
All right, I want us to stop for a second and use the telestrator, give you an idea where this happened. You see right here, that is the Space Needle, and right here is KOMO TV. Broad Street is right in the middle, so it is not even a block from the Space Needle to where the TV station's at. It seems like the crash happened somewhere in this area right here where there were cars parked along. I'll give you an idea of kind of the layout. This is an area of downtown Seattle, just north of downtown, called Belltown. If you were to go this direction, that's where Amazon's headquarters are. There are 2 TV stations that are in that area. Again, this is KOMO TV. That's the helicopter that crashed. At this point, they're really not sure what happened. They're trying to get a handle on the situation as they work with authorities there and learn a little bit more about what happened. There are also hundreds of condos in this area. We sort of talk about on the fringes of this map that I'm showing you. I mean, hundreds, dozens of condos that are in this area. A lot of new construction that's gone on in this area. I heard somebody in a report a little bit earlier saying there's a possibility that this helicopter could have perhaps hit a crane in construction. I don't think that's in the case, because in this area right next to where that TV station's at, I'm not aware of any new construction going on there right now. So they quite frankly don't know why this helicopter crashed. And again, there are 2 deaths that are reported right now, presumably the photographer and the pilot of that helicopter. Our own Chopper 5 pilot, Ken Melchior, is here now to give us a little bit more insight on this area. Ken, the building itself, the KOMO building, is probably 5 or 6 stories tall. It's sort of just a regular kind of office building, but you've got the Space Needle right there, and you're in a really extremely busy sort of urban area. What kind of challenges for you and your experience would that be to take off and land from that area every day?
Well, an elevated helipad, which is what this was, the challenges are really the obstacle avoidance, and then just knowing the direction of the wind, which really dictates which way the helicopter is going to come in to land as well as depart. Now, knowing this air crew and knowing this location, they're likely very highly experienced, have made this approach many, many times. So, you know, the challenges to them are actually minimal at that point.
Which means it's pretty mysterious to you as to how somebody with so much experience and particularly landing in this location, how something like this could have happened.
Right. Well, a helicopter, as we know, is really just a collection of opposing forces, which the aircraft needs all of them to fly.
Sure.
True and correct. The most vulnerable point in which that helicopter is at its takeoff and landing. That is its most vulnerable point. And as I understand it from the information that came in, witnesses were saying that the aircraft was taking off from the helipad. If that is the case, this loud bang or the spinning or the rotation that was reported, there's a couple of things that come to mind what that could be. And if that pilot had to deal with a mechanical failure right at the point of takeoff, that would be an extremely challenging circumstance. Not that it couldn't be handled.
Sure.
We all practice that as professional pilots, but considering the circumstances in a crowded area like that, it would pose a challenging situation.
Well, sure, and if you're at an airfield, you have the ability to at least try to put it down in a certain place. Whereas this, I mean, honestly, it is such a busy urban area that there would be really no open space.
Right. One of the things we do as helicopter pilots, especially when we come off a helipad like that, is that the aircraft, when it's brought up to power just at the point of takeoff, there's about a 2 or 3 second delay that we use just to make sure everything's running the way it's supposed to. We check all the gauges in the cockpit. We, a helicopter pilot who flies a machine day to day will fly by what's called seat of his pants. He's feeling everything and listening to everything going on. Does it all sound normal? Does it all feel normal? If that's a go, then he takes off from the helipad. If it doesn't, he sets it right back down.
Well, and you touched on this briefly too. The TV station probably 5 or 6 blocks from Elliott Bay, so right there off Puget Sound, a lot of wind coming off that area. Definitely a challenging. I've landed on the top of the roof of Cairo TV, which is about a block away from there, and the times that we touch down, I mean, the helicopters, it's bouncing around a little bit. It's fairly unstable.
Right. Most helicopter pilots and the helipad at KOMO TV will have a windsock, so he'll know ahead of time what direction the wind's coming from. And helicopters like to act like a weather vane. They like to fly into the wind. They like to land and take off into the wind. So if he knows that direction, he'll do as best he can to take off or land on that helipad right directly into the wind.
Okay, well, Ken, we appreciate your insight on this, and Brad and Jess, obviously, we're going to try and gather some more information on this. We know 2 people dead, a helicopter crash right across the street from the Space Needle in Seattle. We don't know confirmation yet from the TV station that it was a photographer and that it was the pilot, but I'm presuming that because it's not like the TV station is letting the public ride a helicopter in a case like this. We also know a 37-year-old man was injured. That person was transferred to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle for treatment there.
I am guessing, though, this was probably around 7, 8, 8:30 in the morning. The way you describe it, a very busy road. It's amazing more people on the ground weren't hurt.
No, it is. I can't believe, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking about this and the times that I've walked on that street. It's Broad Street. It runs right there next to the Space Needle. So you've got people coming and going. You've got all this business and commerce right there in this part of Seattle. So many, you see McDonald's right there in the background, right across the street from there too. So many people. The monorail, you're familiar with the Seattle monorail? That's right off in the background. It looks like a bridge right above where you saw the smoke and flame there. So, I mean, it truly, not to minimize the loss of life here, 2 people, but to me it's truly amazing that more people weren't hurt in this, just because based on where it happened and what time of day, Brad.
Ken, I have a question for you. Just in looking at that video of that intense fire there and a couple of those cars so severely damaged, clearly that was a major impact coming down.
Yeah, so if he's coming off the roof, if he cleared the roof and something catastrophic happened to the aircraft at that point, he's really not going to have much choice but to set the aircraft straight down. And if it was a departure off the roof, he may have been full of fuel, and that's henceforth the reason why the flames are as high as they are. But that's right where he was, and right where this happened is a critical point in flight for him. He's left the helipad, and he hasn't cleared all of the obstacles that are in the surrounding areas.
Heard a witness earlier this morning saying that the helicopter apparently landed on its side. Now, clearly, very early on in this investigation, but that according to one witness. Okay, guys, thanks so much for the update. Again, we will track this over the course of the next hour as we get more information. It is breaking news. We will continue to follow.